The 76 mm divisional gun M1942 was a Soviet 76.2 mm divisional field gun used during World War II. ZiS was a factory designation and stood for Zavod imeni Stalina, the honorific title of Artillery Factory No.92, which first constructed this gun. History. Artillery Factory No.92 began designing the ZiS-3 at the end of 1940. The ZiS-3 combined a light carriage from the 57 mm ZiS-2 anti-tank gun and the powerful 76.2 mm barrel from the F-22 the previous divisional field gun. A muzzle brake was added to reduce recoil, allowing it to be fired without damaging the lighter carriage. Production of the ZiS-3 made greater use of casting, stamping and welding than the F-22 compared to the F-22 the new weapon was produced with a third of the work and two-thirds of the cost. V.G. Grabin, the chief designer of Soviet medium-caliber guns, ordered the gun's development on his own initiative. The state was not informed, and the first ZiS-3 was kept hidden. The state had little interest in light and medium field guns. German propaganda about the Neubau-Farug multi-turreted prototype tank convinced state authorities that German heavy tanks had exceptionally strong armor, which in turn reduced the value of smaller guns. Marshal Grigory Kulik, commander of Soviet artillery, ordered the production of light 45 mm anti-tank guns and 76.2 mm divisional field guns to be stopped. The beginning of the Great Patriotic War revealed that the Soviets had overestimated German armor protection. Some were even vulnerable to large-caliber DSHK machine guns. Pre-war 76 mm divisional guns easily penetrated German vehicles, but nearly all of these guns were lost early in the war. Some captured examples were remounted on German Panzerjäger self-propelled guns. Marshal Kulik ordered the F-22 back into production. Artillery Factory No.92, in cooperation with Grabin, put the ZiS-3 into mass production instead. The Red Army initially refused to accept the ZiS-3. The gun had not undergone the usual acceptance trials, and Artillery Factory No.92 accumulated a stockpile of serviceable guns. Grabin convinced the army to issue the badly needed guns to units for impromptu testing at the front, where combat experience validated the gun's superiority over all other divisional field guns. Subsequently, the ZiS-3 was presented to Joseph Stalin and a small group of state authorities. Stalin was impressed by the demonstration, saying, "This gun is a masterpiece of artillery systems design." The ZiS-3 underwent an official 5-day acceptance trial in February 1942, and was then accepted into service as Divisional Field Gun Model 1942. Grabin worked to increase production at Artillery Factory No.92. Conveyor assembly lines admitted the use of low-skilled labor without significant quality loss. Experienced laborers and engineers worked on complicated equipment and served as brigade leaders. They were replaced on the production line by young factory workers who were exempt from conscription, producing a new generation of skilled laborers and engineers. More than 103,000 ZiS-3s were produced by the end of the war, making it the most numerous Soviet field gun during the war. The KSP-76 was a wartime light assault car mounting the ZiS-3. It did not advance beyond the prototype stage. Mass production of the ZiS-3 ceased after the war. It was replaced by the 85 mm D-44 divisional field gun. The D-44 had better anti-armor capabilities but inferior mobility due to its increased weight. The Finns captured 12 units, and designated them 76K-42. The Romanian TACAMR-2 tank destroyer was a R-2 tank converted to mount the ZiS-3 in a three-sided fighting compartment. Also, at one point during the development of the Mirezl tank destroyer, the ZiS-3 was fitted on one of the prototypes for trials. Eventually, the Romanians chose their own, superior DTU-DR 75mm anti-tank gun for the final Mirezl prototypes. Ammunition data. Combat history. Soviet soldiers liked the ZiS-3 for its extreme reliability, durability, and accuracy. The gun was easy to maintain and use by novice crews. The light carriage allowed the ZiS-3 to be towed by trucks, heavy jeeps, or even hauled by the crew. ZiS-3 had good anti-armor capabilities. Its armor-piercing round could knock out any German light and medium tank. The frontal armor of later tanks, like the Tiger and later the Panther, were immune to the ZiS-3. The ZiS-3 battery had 4 guns. 3 batteries made a division, or battalion. Independent anti-tank regiments consisted of 6 batteries with no divisions. A staff battery included a fire control section. The ZiS-3 saw combat service with North Korean forces during the Korean War. Post-Cold War, the ZiS-3 was exported to Soviet allies during the Cold War, who in turn exported it to Third World countries. The gun remains in service in several African and Asian countries, and continues to see action in local conflicts and border skirmishes. The ZiS-3 was officially withdrawn from Soviet service, with many being scrapped or stored. Some were converted and incorporated into Great Patriotic War memorials, as commonly found in Russia and Belarus. The Russian ground forces uses guns to decorate the buildings and gardens of artillery units' quarters, and uses functioning guns as small saluting guns and in history-dedicated military shows.